Hello, this is John, Vintage Fisherman. I'm back. Got a Ryobi AD5500, which I did some research on. I think it's the same as a Lose. It looks like a Lose. It's a right-handed reel, so it's going to get sold. I don't keep too many right-hand reels. If it were a Abu Garcia, yeah, I'd keep it, but it just needs to be gone through. It's all there except for the label on this side. It's other than that, this reel is complete. I've never been into one of these, so here goes nothing. We'll see how it does. It says 3-ball bearings, and this is a pretty old reel, so that's pretty impressive. I would think it's from the 80s just by looking at it, you know. We'll take the handle retainer off. Now, that's a 12mm. Okay. Make a good little catfish reel. Got a lot of line capacity on it. All right, it's got a screw in the end of it there. We'll take a fine Phillips, number 0 Phillips. Take that out. I think that's just an oil hole. No, it's a retainer. Okay, let's take the handle off. Then you got a handle washer. You know, all these things are pretty much, they make them the same, it seems like. I'm suspecting it's got a bearing in the handle and it's got bearings on the spool. Kind of an odd shaped reel. Us old timers don't think that's odd, but compared to new stuff, it looks odd. I think the new stuff looks odd myself. Okay, you have a washer in there that has a bevel in it, which goes down. The bevel goes down towards the bearing. Remember that. Let's go ahead and take this spool adjuster off. That's the only adjustment. That's the only casting adjustment you have on this reel. Okay. Underneath that, you've got, there's a bearing in there. There's a small shim. We'll take that out. Oh gosh, I don't want that to ride over in that dirt. And then you got this tensioner right there, for lack of a better term. 3 thumb screws. This does have a, I guess that's a flipping switch on it. The thumb screws take the palm plate off. The shaft is part of the spool. It has centrifugal weights. There's your cast control. We'll go ahead and slide those weights off. That way we can clean them good. See there? Isn't that neat? That's a nice looking piece. And you know, you got your ring in there that the centrifugal weights fly around. Here's your bearing. Let's see if I can find the right tool here for the job. There it is. It's got a retainer in there. Take that off. Don't let that fly, folks. Don't let that fly. Goodness gracious. Here we go. Now to get that bearing out, I'm going to stick the other end of the spool in there and just kind of walk it out just like that. And we'll oil those separate. And there is a shim down in the bottom of that. You see that little square? It's just like the one on the other side. We're going to keep them separate though. Lord have mercy. And it's not magnetic, so you can't put a magnet on and get it out of there. I think the only chance I got is to maybe take something with some grease on, maybe a Q-tip. stick down in there and just kind of get a hold of it. No, that didn't work out too well, did it? It's just suction down in there. It's wow. It moves around freely, but it's just stuck from the oil that's on it. Now it's got grease holding it in there, so that's beautiful. I'm not sure what to do about that. Sometimes you just can't get things out. I'll try a pair of tweezers. Don't even know if I can get those on there or not. No, well, it's gonna stay like that because I don't feel like fighting with it. Okay, to get the drive side, well, let's go ahead and pull this bearing. That bearing comes out just like the other one did. There's a retainer on the inside, but we'll leave it in there for now. Take these two screws out. Says 3 ball bearings, 4.7 to 1 ratio. The reel is in very good shape. I looked these things up on eBay and it's a $30 reel, maybe. You know, I'll probably sell it on eBay. So you got those come out and they are pinned. They're pinned with the cover, so we'll leave those alone. There's your anti-reverse dog. Pay attention to how it's in there. Now your bearing can come out underneath the bearing. So we had this on top of the bearing. You got another one just like it on the bottom of the bearing. Then you got a wavy washer. I like the way this is set up. You got 2 wavy washers. Very, very nice setup. Almost looks like a Garcia, actually. And I need to readjust my stuff here. Everything, my pad, my tray here is, I don't know what's going on with it, but it's causing me problems. But, let's go ahead and pull. Yeah, I believe it's got a Garcia drag, to be honest with you. This whole thing can come off. Just a little grungy. That's all one piece. There is a washer underneath all that. Okay. Take that drag washer off, lube those up. I'm not putting new drag washers in it. They're the same washers on both sides. Okay. They were stuck. We'll fix that. There's your main gear. You've got 2 retainers. Wow, those look like fun, don't they? We'll leave that together for right now. Let's take the level line out. Rotate the level line over where you can take the cap off of it. I like this metal cap. I wish Shimano had put metal caps on their reels. I don't understand it. That's your biggest nemesis on them, Shimano. But let's get this off of here. remove this clip without losing it. Wow, that thing's in there. Get a little bit stronger screwdriver here. That don't belong there. That's what the problem is. This is going to go flying. Oh, I saved it. Okay. That gear can come on out. Okay. The tube. Oh no. I lost a bushing, but I'll find it. Tube can come on out. And then these two screws, and you can take that whole post off there and clean that. It would not be a fishing reel repair by me. I'm not sure why my camera just stopped there, but I'll keep going. It just stopped on its own. I hope it was running. And then you take your pinion, your yoke out. I think I'm going to leave it at that. I don't think I'm going to go any further. So I'll bring you back when I get ready, when I get cleaned up and ready to put it back together. Hopefully I didn't lose all that video. Well, I'm back. I got this thing cleaned up here. This is the Ryobi AD5500 that I've been working on. Nice looking reel. I'm real impressed with it. The more I cleaned on it, the more I saw. I did mention it might be good for catfish, but cat fishermen really like a reel with a bait clicker, and this one unfortunately does not have a bait clicker, but it's a good solid little reel. Make you a good, reel for, I think you could use it about anything you want to use it for. Freshwater with the capacity it's got. May not be the best in the world for throwing really, really light lures, but definitely would do fine, throwing spinner baits, jig and pig, Carolina rigs, stuff like that. It'd be a good reel for that. Crankbaits, although the ratio was 4 to 7 to 1. I mean, it's a little slow for today's fishermen. Seem to like them going faster, but don't know why. But I got used to fishing the really slow stuff, and it works fine for me. But got it cleaned up pretty good. It looks really, really, really good. Everything's turned out shiny on it. Let's put a reel together. First things first is let's get the level line back on it. It's got a tube that goes through the level line. That's a guide. It's a guide for the level line guide is what it is. Put a little bit of grease on that, and it goes right here, and you got 2 small screws that hold it in place, and you'll have to kind of eyeball it. It doesn't fit into a slot. So what I'm trying to articulate here is that it doesn't fit into a slot. You just kind of got to line it up with the holes and put the screws in there. and I always give out those, any kind of hole that I've got to screw, metal to metal, I always put a little bit of grease in it. Trust me on this, you will thank yourself later. Alright, so once you get those 2 screws in there, you can feed the tube in. Well, it won't come in. I guess it does come in from this side. And maybe. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And then it gets, this cap goes down on here, a bushing, I guess you could say. And this thing is driven from the gear side of the crank side of the reel. So we'll go ahead and put that, and that's not right. Or yeah, it is, that's right. So that goes in there like that. We'll go ahead and put this little bitty snap ring on that end of that shaft that holds the whole thing together. Don't lose the snap ring, folks. You hear me say this all the time. Watch me lose the snap ring while I'm talking to you about not losing the snap ring. There we go. And then the last thing is to drop the pawl in. And like I've always said, you just kind of put it in there and then turn the gear. It will find its way home, and you'll know it's home because you can spin the gear in it. The level line moves back and forth. And then I always oil these things really good. I oil the worm gear, I oil the slide, the bar, the pawl, put the cap on. Just make sure it's all lubricated good. I found this to be a fairly simple reel. It's an all metal frame on it. It's made in Japan, so you can expect some quality out of a Japanese reel. Just been going around kind of cleaning up a couple places on it that were a little ugly. But no, it's not bad shape really. We're going to do the drive and make sure I'll set that. Yeah, it's really smooth, really smooth. Let's go ahead and put this washer down on this shaft. Put a little bit of oil on that. That's a shim. I said washer, it's really a shim. Sorry about that. Now, your gear, I want to say your gear rides like that. I could be totally wrong on this because I didn't pay attention. I didn't take notes. I didn't do that in high school either. Here I am, fixing fishing reels and diesel engines. Grease it up good. I can tell kind of by the marks it goes like that, but I could be wrong. Yeah, that's right. So it sits down in there, and so when you, well, I can't really show you yet. Let me put these springs on, and hopefully I won't lose these E-clips, or the springs won't go flying away from me here, because this is really difficult for bigger fingers like a fellow like me has. Golly, it's hard on the thumbs, buddy. Hard on the thumbs. I'm going to try, if I can hold on to it long enough to get my pliers on there, I'm going to have to use a plier. That is hurting my fingers. That little snap ring's just cutting like a knife. Okay, got one in, got one more. These springs work against that that jack ring down there. It's not really a jack, I guess you could call it a jack plate, but the jack plate releases the pinion from the spool. Goodness gracious. Oof. Yeah, it's got some difficulties to it. Not gonna lie. I can't get my big fingers on it. If this fails, I'm gonna be looking for another snap ring, because there's no way I can. No way I can get my fingers down in there. Alright. I think I got it. Let's look at it really good. Those forceps. Harbor Freight forceps, man. I ain't no tool snob. Go over and get you some. They're handy. They're really handy. Alright. Let's look at it here. Yeah, we're in there. We're in there. Alright, so we're good there. The next thing is your dog. The dog has these little friction ears on them, and they go up in there like that. And the whole thing goes together like this. Okay? Alright, you drag. Had to look at it for a minute. Sometimes it's best just to take a step back and think about it. We'll go ahead and put some cowls on these old drag. I'm not going to replace these drag washers. I think they're about the same size as the Abu Garcia Ambassador Royal Express. It looks like the same drag, to be honest with you. But, and I do believe, I'm going to find out here in a minute, I believe that little boss goes down. Okay, so I'm going to put it in like this. And I need to grease that. I always forget a step, don't I? The cowls, a lot of people out there probably thinking, why is he putting grease on drag? You want your drag to be, you don't want your drag to slip. Well, yeah, you kind of do. You want it to be a controlled slip. So cowls has like a friction type modifier in it, I guess you could say, kind of like what's used in automatic transmission fluids and some differential fluids on vehicles, and it gives it a certain amount of grab, for lack of a better term. All you engineer types are like, what are you talking about? But no, it gives a little bit of grab, and it allows the drag to be smoother. I wouldn't put the blue grease on drag. Some people do. It's not how I do them. But anyway. Then your drag press plate, I call it, because that's what pushes everything down. You have, let me get over here and frame a little bit better. You got the wavy washer. It doesn't really matter which way this one goes on, because there's only one on this reel. Then you got a flat washer. Okay. Then you got two bevel washers. One goes with the bevel up, and then you put your bearing in. Bearings are smooth. And you got the other one with the bevel down towards the bearing. And that is the whole thing there. Yep, that's it. Okay, let's put the top on. We'll drop that in just like that. We'll put a little bit of, I'll wipe the excess off here in a minute so it won't be on the outside of the reel, but I want to get a little bit of grease in there so those brass threads against that brass post will not become a problem in the future to the next guy. We'll put those screws in and I'll give it a wipe down. We'll get it looking good. This is a really nice reel. If it wasn't missing that one emblem, I would say it's a shelf piece. It has very little wear, just a couple little scuffs here and there. It's missing that emblem on the palm pad. Okay, got that together. Still working on this side. You got a bearing. Goes there. Both these bearings are the same. No difference in them. You put your bearing down in there. It's already been lubricated. Then you got this friction plate here that also had this little square washer down in it. And it goes in there like this, okay? And I'm gonna get just a little bit of grease in there on that cap. This is your only way to adjust cast. This is your only cast control on this reel. Just put it in there loose. It says brake on there. The next thing to do is put your drag star on there. In this case, it's a triangle. Not quite a star. And it's going to be your standard rotation threads. And I'm going to have to hold that. I don't have enough protruding yet to put the handle on it. Run that all the way down. It'd be kind of cool to show up on the pier with this thing and catch my bait with it. Everybody'd be like, what in the world is that? Them young pups, they wouldn't know what the heck this thing is. Where'd you get that at, Grandpa? I can hear them now. All right, we're moving right along here. Handle goes on next. Give it a little bit of lube. Then the next thing is this little bitty screw that actually you're supposed to oil the shaft right through there. And there's a little hole. There's a cross-bore hole on that shaft that goes out to that handle shaft to lubricate it. It's kind of neat. Like I said, this is a well thought out little reel. I mean, it probably wasn't a cheap reel. Back in those days, it was cheap compared to nowadays, but it's actually a pretty nice little reel. And you got your handle nut. We'll go on there. Let's give that a little bit of grease too. Standard rotation on it. If I can get it started. If you have trouble starting these handle nuts, go reverse. So if it's a left hand, you would do to the right to loosen it. And on the right hand, you go to the left to loosen. And that gets you your threads lined up. And I found on these handle nuts, if you either go a flat towards that small screw hole or a point towards that small screw hole, this will always line up for you, or pretty close. See here? Very, very nice little reel. Can't complain about it at all. Good quality. All right, we got that far with it. Okay. Let's put the palm plate together, and this reel will be done. Went together a lot faster than it came apart. I like that. I like to get the oil off those rings, because your centrifugal weights, they fly out there and there's oil on there. They won't really do their job to slow things down. So give them half a chance and clear that off. You've got this little bitty square shim that goes down there. It's actually it's a friction washer. It's what when you tighten this knob down over here, you put tension through that whole spool shaft to slow it down. So that goes in first. Little dab of oil. Your bearing just goes in there and push it down. Then you've got this little clip that will be a pain because it's hard for me to get my fingers down in there. All right, see there? And now, these weights will go either way. They got like a little indentation in them. All they do is fly out there and slow that spool down. Push them in like that and put your spool in there. If you don't push them in, you go try to tighten it down, you're gonna pinch them. That's never a good thing. While that's sitting there, hopefully not falling apart, let's put a little bit of grease on these takedown screws. And we'll give that a little bit of oil right there and there. And this thing is ready to go back together. Spool goes in. Your palm plate will kind of rotate into place there a little bit. Tighten down the thumb screws. Like I said, it's a nice little reel. We'll check it out, make sure it works here. This is a anti-reverse on or off. I was thinking of the flipping switch when I first saw it, but then when I took it apart, I realized I had misspoken. This switch right here, we'll make sure that works good. As you notice, I use these white towels, and they are wiping cloths from Ace Hardware. I've always used these. They're just perfect for getting all my finger smudges and stuff off of a reel. Just kind of shine it up. That's the only thing this reel is missing, is that little emblem right there. Probably could find a reel that's been junked or whatever. I looked at a couple on eBay and thinking, well, maybe I'll find me an end plate and I'll just buy an end plate for it, make it like brand new. But no, it seems like they all have the same kind of issues actually. So there's a little bit of gunk up in there I need to clean off good. Somebody kept it lubed pretty good, and it's got a little bit of gunk right there that did not get scrubbed off. It's dried up oil and grease. Don't get that off of both sides. All right, let's see if it all works. Let's tighten the drag. First thing, let's get the spool right. Well, it's kind of hard to do, isn't it? Just a little bit of play to start out with, and you can adjust it for the lure you're using. Let's tighten that drag down. And I like to seat the drag in. I want to hold the spool. It's hard to hold. The thing's got a good drag on it. It's smooth. Yeah. Okay. Let's see if the anti-reverse works. Yes, it does. Look at that. Now, free spool. Yeah. Wow. That thing's got some serious spin to it. Those bearings are in good shape. Huh. She's smooth. Doesn't have the big old fancy thumb bar back here. It's got that, which is fine. You don't always have to have the cool new stuff, right? I think the old stuff's cooler anyway. So look for that reel on my eBay store. The Vintage Fisherman, all one word. The Vintage Fisherman 1. I should add the 1 at the end. And it'll be on there at some point in the future. Whenever I get a chance to take some photos and put it up. Nice little reel. Well, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please like it. If you like the content, please subscribe so you can get notifications. It's almost fishing weather, folks. I'm getting excited. I'm tired of sitting at this bench working on fishing reels on my free time just because it's too nasty to be outside, you know. So it was like 60 here today. That really gets me thinking about fishing. But thanks for watching. Come on back for some more. Talk to you later.